but not close enough.
Before we dive into the complexities that is Claudio's ideologies and also beliefs, there's a few things that we need to establish at the start. First off, Azazel. Azazel, in common discussions in the community, is thought to be basically Anubis. And yes, Azazel does look a lot like Anubis, but he looks more and behaves more like Set, which is another god who's often confused with Anubis. Both of these gods are Egyptian. Anubis is the ancient god of death, kind of like Hades in Greek mythology. Not necessarily evil, but just manages the underworld. It's a tough job and someone has to do it. And in Egyptian mythology, it's Anubis.
So many lost souls in this land, so much death.
Now, Set, on the other hand, Set is many things. A god slayer, a psychopath, a backstabber, all of these things and so much more is why Set is most commonly known as the god of destruction and chaos. This, in Egyptian mythology, is one of the most feared gods of all. He kills, he destroys, and he takes over. And it kind of mirrors what Azazel did, does, and want to do.
My power is unbounded. All hail Set!
But also too, Azazel is kind of a misconstrued character. Since he was a boss, since he was propped up as this great evil that had to be taken down, a lot of us see him as just this evil being, but he's more than that. Azazel embodies both Anubis and Set in his character traits because Azazel is a neutral agent of justice and judgment. This is basically what Anubis is, but he's meting out the destruction of humanity in proportion to the destruction that they themselves have caused. This is his Set-like traits. Also, Azazel ruled over the earth thousands of years ago. We can see temples built in his honor. We can see statues. Claudio has books that documents the Devil Chain and Azazel. You can see his influence spread across humanity, and you can see that he did in fact rule over thousands of years. But even with all that being said, he still was overthrown. Humans, at one point in time, they rebelled against him, they overthrew him, and then Zafina's ancestors, they trapped his spirits, his essence, in a temple that was built in his honor, and he's been stuck there ever since Tekken 6. Then Zafina sucked up the remnants, his spirit, put it in her hand, and in her story it specifically says that she makes contact with the Archers of Osiris. Now, Claudio is the leader of an ancient organization of sorcerers that is at least 500 years old. We know this because they battled Eliza, they defeated her, and they trapped her underneath the Rochefort family estate, and Eliza has been there ever since. But they're probably far older than that, just considering how much Claudio knows. And also, if you take into account that Zafina's ancestors, their organization was alive thousands of years ago when Azazel ruled, it's not that hard to believe that Claudio's organization also existed around that time. This is more speculation, but there's a growing belief inside the community that Claudio worships Angel, and basically he's acting on her will. But now with this Tekken 8 trailer that they dropped on us, the teaser, right, Claudio says some things, and that makes me think the opposite. What if Claudio actually worships Azazel? Is this true? Is this likely? And what also is the ramifications of this? If we do have a sorcerer who worships a demon, what is the outcome? First off, we have to establish the evidence. His design, he has Azazel's face on his back, on his belt buckle. He has Devil Chain markings all over his jacket. He is decked out in Azazel gear. If you worship an angel, you're not going to cover yourself head to toe in the clothes of a demon. But another big sign is the statues that's in his building. We talked about these statues so many times and they have so many different meanings, and this time I want to dig a little bit more deeply. On top you have Artemis. Artemis is the god of chastity, hunting, and the moon. Underneath Artemis, when you break the balcony and turn around, you can see Atlas, the bearer of heavens. If we look at the imagery that's being displayed here, let's say the top half where Artemis is standing, that represents heaven. Atlas, for those of you who know, he holds up heaven and he stands on earth. If the floor represents earth, if you go beyond that, what is that? That is hell, the underworld. And if you turn the camera around and you look at the statues that's standing in the metaphorical hell, you see a man and a dog. The man is the demigod son of Poseidon, Orion, the Greek god of the hunt. What's really interesting about Orion and his story, the most important part that I want to highlight, is that Orion was once a lover of Artemis and two, eventually slayed by Artemis. But what's really fascinating, and this kind of blows the lid on the whole thing, the dog. The dog statue represents the dog star, also known as Sirius. In the Tekken 8 snippet, Claudio literally says this. That's literally him calling out to this dog, this statue. In Egyptian mythology, Sirius is called Sopet and was conflated with a goddess Isis and also, most importantly, Anubis. If this dog here is related to Anubis, and we establish Anubis is related to Azazel, why is Claudio basically calling out, praying almost to Azazel to help him before the battle starts as his character intro? That is by far the most important question to ask currently in Tekken. Shine your bright light here. It seems like a bland quote, but if we add real world context of Sirius and how the Egyptians viewed the star, and everything changes. Back in ancient Egypt, the reappearance of the dog star Sirius in the sky was very important to their survival. It told them when the Nile River would flood, bring water and rich soil to their crops. The Egyptians called out to the star to save their crops, their farmland, and pretty much their life. They depended on the star to save them. For Claudio to be calling out to this star kind of the same way before a battle starts, this once again is huge evidence to him basically viewing this star, this dog, this Anubis-like being, this Azazel-like being as something that he worshipped. Is Claudio basically praying to Azazel in this instance? If the answer is no, nothing changes and Tekken continues as normal. But if the answer to that question is yes, everything changes. Everything. Let's go back to Tekken 7. Zafina made contact with Claudio and she wants to destroy Azazel and the Devil Gene. But if Claudio actually worships Azazel, he's going to do everything in his power to stop that. And he might even take it a step forward. He might do everything in his power to resurrect Azazel. Because if you think about it, yes, Claudio wasn't in Tekken 6, but he still existed in the world of Tekken 6. And he did not stop when Jin was waking up Azazel, and you have to wonder at least why didn't he? So if Claudio actually does worship Azazel, that means he's going to do everything in his power to make sure that he is resurrected. Whether that be in his own body, full dragon form, or what a lot of players have been assuming already by having Azazel take over Zafina's body fully. In terms of story and changing the way we view it, it would be pretty interesting if Tekken did go the route of showing us a society that wants Azazel in power, that wants him to be restored, to want the order that he brought to the world. Subscribe to the channel, and remember, you can now join the channel. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and bye bye.